Chelsea hosted Nottingham Forest this week on Sunday in our Premier League fixture. 1-1 was the final result. Andrew, was this a fair result, or do you think we should have done better?
Um, I think overall it was relatively fair. I think they caused us a lot of problems. Um, we had a lot of the ball, but they didn't let us do much with it. We didn't have a lot of clear-cut chances. Their goalkeeper made a few good saves. Our goalkeeper made a few good saves, and I think on the balance of it, it probably was about right.
Yeah, I thought that until the later end of the game when they went down 10 men. We then brought on Joao, Felix, Nkuku, Mudryk, and I think Neto. I
I
think.
mean, even in that period, is it Nico Williams should have scored for them
Yeah, it's a
before
great
he had
save.
that
It
header.
was a
That was a great
great
save.
save. Great save. That was really their only main chance in that period.
No, they scored. They almost scored right at the last as well. Because I remember the commentator going, "Nottingham Forest might feel a little bit hard done by they didn't win because of that."
Oh,
Sanchez
okay.
had a great save,
I
and
won't lie, I actually missed the last 3 minutes, so yeah.
that's why you missed that one. João Felix also had sort of a wide open header that
Mm.
he probably should have scored from, and I think even then the chances were pretty close. I think actually they had a lot more clear cut chances that they should have scored from than we did. There's a few other ones. I think Sanchez had a great game and made a lot of unbelievable saves.
Yeah, I mean as well the Nkunku one, the crossing from Mudryk was an absolute peach, and then Nkunku, I think if he heads that down into the corner rather than at the same height as his head, it was going to go in. So close though. But again, great little cameo from Mudryk when he came on, blistering pace, and he's actually able to start delivering decent balls in whilst going as fast as he can, which is good to see. Um, I mean, Forest are a tough side. I think actually their manager, even before this game, said that they don't have the quality that Brighton do, for example, because obviously we've recently played Brighton. Um, and they had to focus more on their play off the ball, which you could tell
Mm.
they were doing, and they did it really well. Like you said, excuse me, they are a hard team to break down. And there was one moment where I kind of felt that I think it was from a free kick, and we were playing around with it it was the second half. We were playing around with it. And it's almost like we were waiting for their team to commit to us, and they didn't do what we were expecting them to do, and we just had to keep passing it. We didn't really do anything with it. They're very switched on Forest defensively, and they got back and they put a lot of effort in. So fair play to them because they've beaten Liverpool. Was that was that Anfield? I
I
think it was
can't
at
remember.
Anfield.
I can remember they beat them or got a good draw actually, but they
I thought
definitely got a good result against
they got a
Liverpool.
good result against them. Yeah, I mean, I think they've only lost to Fulham recently, and Fulham are on form at the moment, so they have done really well. Because before that they were unbeaten until they lost to Fulham.
Well, I think like before, I think it was on Match of the Day or something. They said that Nottingham Forest and City before this weekend had the least number of shots conceded on goal.
Yeah,
Probably for completely different reasons, but they're obviously very solid defensively, and we saw that.
yeah, they do. They get their men behind the ball, and like you said earlier on, they press really well. They
Mm.
press together and they counter attack very well. I mean, Yates had Enzo Fernandez in his pocket for probably the first half, the entire first half. Fernandez couldn't get into the game. Even Palmer struggled in the first half. I think his touch and his passing wasn't as crisp as we would normally see it. Talk to me about Madueke. We've got a couple of points here that you've made off screen before we started the episode about Madueke. You and I both thought that he was probably our best player on the pitch, even without the goal. So you talked to me about Madueke's performance, then you've also got a point about him and Sancho. Far away.
Well, I just think he's been getting a lot of stick, a lot from you at least, and then some from other people that
Complimented him. Why did you have to bring that up?
he's very greedy, and I think there's been certain games where he's not passed. And I think I've heard similar comments after this game from Chelsea fans. You go, there was never really any other options. There was no easy options. No one made it easy for him to give them the ball after he'd beaten a couple of men.
No, he had a
I
tough game.
think
He had a very tough game.
I think he was the only player that consistently was beating players. I think Sancho did okay with it, but definitely in the first half, he was beating his man quite regularly, trying to create some space for himself. There wasn't a lot of options to pass the ball, and he was managing to get shots off, and I didn't have a problem with that. I think the only problem that I've got with him at the minute is his consistency of hitting the target. I think if he hit the target more, no one would really complain about how greedy he is.
Yeah, agreed.
And then on the flip side, I think Jadon Sancho was looking for the pass too often. There was one point, I think, right at the end of the first half where he cut inside. He had a very good opportunity to do what most top wingers do and just sort of try and curl one far corner. We actually had, I think, Jackson running in that could have got a header or made it very difficult for the goalkeeper to kind of know if he was going to get to it or not. And he just kind of floated it in really like tamely, rather than probably if he just had a crack at it, would have had a better chance. And I think throughout the game, he was constantly too unselfish and not really looking to attack the goal and trying to find a pass.
No, I agree. There, just on Sancho quickly, I definitely noticed that a lot more in this game. A lot of his passes weren't good. That's the other thing that I didn't like about it. There was times where he was trying to pass to somebody outside the box. I remember once to Cole Palmer, and the pass he did was so soft that
Mm.
it couldn't it wouldn't reach him, and it got intercepted because it was just a poorly weighted pass. And I felt that a lot, like you said, even that cross, you know, and he could do with shooting a bit more. I admit I have said that about Madueke a bit too much. I do agree. If he hit the target more, wouldn't be a problem. But the reason I say it is sometimes he does it when clearly the pass. Pardon me. There's two or three players in the box, and they're not all marked, shall we say?
Mm.
And you think that that's a more sensible option. You think percentage wise that's surely going to get us a goal more than him going for himself. In this game, however, we didn't move enough in the box. And when the box was full of Nottingham Forest players, that doesn't really help us. That helps Forest because we didn't move enough off the ball and create options and create opportunities or chances. So Madueke had no choice because if he did try and find someone in the box, it would have to be a very crisp cross and ball for that to happen. So I think he had a very tough game because he had he had Murillo and who's the other guy?
Moreno?
Huh? Moreno, yeah,
Moreno.
that's it. Um, you know, two very tough defenders, and he did really really well, and I felt sorry for him because he didn't have enough movement in the box to deliver anything. It was very static, which I think is a big problem against a team like Forest. Um, but no, I thought he did really well, especially as he's now been called up to the England squad for this week's international fixtures. I don't know if they're friendlies or the Nations League games or whatever, but getting a goal on being called up for this going to be good for your confidence at the end of the day. So no, I thought he was even without the goal. I thought he was probably our best player on the pitch. Um, what we said, Forest are tough to break down. Again, let's just get it over and done with because we spoke about it briefly. The goal that they scored. I mean, I still don't understand why we not put in our best defenders on their best attackers of the ball. I just don't get it because
I think
it's not working. What we're doing at the moment is not working.
I think from corners I can understand the methodology. From free kicks, I don't get it.
Yeah, fair.
From free kicks where you're going, we're expecting between Madueke and Malo Gusto to beat one of their centre backs in the air.
Big
Malo
bloke.
Madueke got blocked off, which I just thought was overkill from Forest, because he wasn't going to win it anyway. Yeah, their centre back was huge, and I think Malagas is always going to struggle. And then you're kind of going, well, if we're leaving that open the back post, we have to be there first in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was never going to happen with that. The way he headed it, there was no way that we could get a defensive touch on that without it probably going back in the net anyway.
No, and I know it's Caicedo, and I'm not actually going to say anything about Caicedo because I don't think he should be marking Wood. If I'm brutally honest, I wouldn't put him up against Wood in that position.
Look, I just don't think what you had to defend was that back post and stop a good header coming back across. I think once that good header comes back across and you're inevitably going back to goal towards your own goal
Yeah.
to defend it, we're under pressure, or if you can get there first, or trying to beat Wood to it when he's slightly ahead of you, you're just not going to defend that. 9 times out of 10, you put it in your own net, even if you get a foot to it. So,
But we had a warning as well because they did that same move earlier on from a free kick, but it didn't work because there weren't the runners. The runners weren't there.
yeah.
This time they had the runners and it worked.
Yeah. And look, I think that's something that we need to work on at set pieces. But yeah.
I just miss the days of man for man marking. You go that person's the same size as me, centre back versus centre back, striker versus striker. You know that kind of philosophy. People who are good in the air versus people who are good in the air, and just go for it. This whole bullshit of possessional. This is my area and stuff. Blah blah blah. Block the runner. Just get the ball, win the fucking ball, and make sure you win the second ball. Like it's just simple. I don't like this. Oh, we'll get in front of no, just compete. Just actually compete for the ball. Cause problems by competing rather than causing your own problems by not blocking someone off properly or getting in front of him because he's twice the size of you. It's just stupid. Anyway, moving on because I can't talk about that anymore. It makes me upset. Um, thought the substitutes when they came on, they were good.
Yeah. I think they livened up the game a little bit. We created a couple of chances when they come on, but again, it was pretty soon after James Ward-Prowse got sent off.
Yes, it was. Yes.
So we didn't really see Jackson and Enzo and whoever else got substituted, didn't get a lot of time against 10 men. So
No,
we don't
but
know how much of it was playing against 10 men and how much of it was.
true, but I don't think that some of those I don't think some of those players got out of second to third gear.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of below par performances.
Boris make it tough on you, and
That's always going to make it tough.
Yates is one of those players where you go, do you know what? You'd probably like him if he was on your team, but you hate him if he's against you, if he's opposite you.
Yeah.
So
He's just one of those that dishes it out like nobody's business. And as soon as he gets the smallest one, all of a sudden he's like rolling around on the floor and you're like,
he's a little bitch. He's a bitch. I
yeah.
don't like him. But no, I mean it's
Well, one thing I would say before we move on from the James Ward-Prowse second yellow, slightly annoyed that we weren't allowed to play on if it's only a yellow. I know he's going to get sent off, but you can play on because Cole Palmer picked up the ball and I think we were still up 3-on-2. It might have been that he blew the whistle and they stopped and Cole Palmer didn't. But if you're not going to send the bloke off direct red card because it's not a goal scoring opportunity, I just think let the game play if there's an opportunity there. And I think there was an opportunity there for us to go through and score in a game where we didn't have a lot of opportunities to do that.
Yeah, I think they said the same thing in commentary in terms of there were players back. So there would be people covering. I think Murillo was one of them. And I think there was an argument of did he have to blow up straight away? And actually, to be fair, in that scuffle towards the end where Nico Williams pushes Cucurella into Maresca and it all kicks off, Cole even turns around to the ref after that because he books Cucurella and he starts saying you've been shit all game. You've been awful all game. I was like, fair point.
Well, I don't really understand why Cucurella did get a book in there, actually.
Well, there's two things, and I still don't know why he's got a booking. And I'll tell you why. if it's for the first incident, which is he technically they say he could potentially foul the Forest player before he makes contact with Nico. Because there's a player that kind of falls to the ground as Cucurella goes past him. I think Cucurella kicks the ball past him, and then him and Nico Williams are both going for the ball. Cucurella gets there first, and then Nico Williams obviously trips him and sort of pushes him slightly, and he goes into Maresca.
Mm.
He then jumps straight up and starts shouting at the fourth official. So
Mm.
for me, it's either because of the first, they said it must be for the first challenge on the Forest player before Nico Williams then challenges Cucurella. But if that's the case, then surely it should have been a free kick to Forest because
Yeah,
you go with the original
100%.
incident, which is that. So the only thing I can think of is that it's him shouting at the fourth official.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
I
He's not
think refs
involved.
just I think refs just
He's not involved in the melee afterwards. Like he's
no.
not involved in the scuffle. So
I think refs just kind of go like if there's a scuffle, whoever two players are at, like were in the original incident, they both get a booking. I think that has to be what it is. The refs just kind of go, well, fuck it, I'll just appease everyone. I get why Colwell gets a booking because he kind of runs over and probably is the catalyst for the whole thing kicking off.
he goes for
And
he proper goes for him.
he has that temper, and I think
I think
that's
he had him around the throat at one point.
that's
I
my one drawback of
genuinely think he had
Colwell
him around the
actually.
throat.
That I think he can be rattled quite easily. Otherwise, he's a phenomenal centre back, and I don't. That's the only. Like,
But I quite like that though.
I don't because I think he can be rattled too easily. I don't think he's in control of it. I don't think he's clever in trying to get players booked in certain ways. I think he just gets rattled and gets.
True, but I think
I
that
can be.
was
I
last
think he can be
season.
targeted for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was last season. This season, I think it's different. I don't think it's the same. And this incident was different in the sense of the guy's literally pushed Cucurella and he's wiped out the manager.
Mm,
The bench has gone ballistic because it's that obvious what's happened.
mm,
And I think Cole's doing it from more of it's just bang out of order.
mm.
Whether he meant to push him into the manager or not, it's a bigger thing than just pushing a player over or something. It's you've
Yeah,
wiped out the manager. It,
yeah. I do think
and I
there's
think there's
more.
there's an element of not being. I think there's an element of not being seen as a pushover and sticking up for your team and sticking up for your manager, sticking up for your players. And I do think there's a certain time where, yeah, get a bit physical so that we're not going to be pushed over or whatever. But I get your point about it could mean that he gets rattled easily.
Yeah,
I just don't think I've seen it that much this year.
and now you say that, I do think yellows take up too much space in fouling at the minute. I think how soft some yellows can be and how orangey some yellows can be, I think are is silly. And I think there's certain situations that wind me up where refs kind of go, well, yeah, fine, he was kicking the ball away or he picked it up. So there was one incident at the game where Cole Palmer was trying to get one of their players booked because he fouled him and then picked the ball up and started walking away with it.
It was like Rodriguez or something. He came on. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
ref goes, no, because you're bringing players on. It's like there's no fucking way that centre back knew that they were bringing players on. In theory, we could have played quickly there. I don't understand why, because both teams are making a sub, he can just walk away with the ball. I think either it's a bookable offence to walk away with the ball or kick the ball away, or it's not.
No, yeah, it's not one or the other. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because like you said, you're not going to be looking at the bench.
No, I think these rules have to be right. If you kick the ball away, if you pick it up and walk away, because they did it in the first half at least one more time, where they picked the ball up and walked away with it, and you go, how is that? Like, I don't understand how that cannot be a booking. Just leave the fucking ball alone.
But it's one of those rules again for me where it's very similar to the time wasting with the goal kicks.
Yeah,
It's the same process.
yeah.
It took all game.
Last 15 minutes.
It took all game for that fucking goalkeeper to get booked, and he was doing it halfway through the first half.
Yeah, I was clicking through it, to be honest.
So
playback, so I didn't see a lot of the time.
No, but I don't think he did it straight away. But I remember at one point it really did start to come through, and I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's still in the first half. Like, it might have been over halfway of the first half somewhere, but it happened in the first half. And again, you're having to wait till like the last 15, 10 minutes for the referee to actually do something about it. But you are right.
and I think that's where they just needs to implement like actually what is a like reasonable rule, like what is a reasonable amount of time to get the ball back in play.
No, no, no. You just you add a stop clock.
Yeah,
You have stop clocks in other sports. You've got stop clocks for times out. You've got stop clocks in NFL, NBA for, you've got the shot clock. You've got the timeout clocks. I mean, all of it. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? That's it. So what you do is even if every stadium has to do it, you put a big digital clock up at the north and south stands above the fucking goal with a little countdown, being like, your countdown has started, and you
yeah,
have to get rid of the ball before that fucking clock hits zero. Whether it's in play or it's gone out of play and you're restarting. Simple. Whatever it is, bang, you do
it
it
doesn't
straight
make
away.
sense to not to do it when it's in play.
Well, no, because you're not allowed to hold the ball. You're not allowed to hold the ball for a certain amount of time. If you, for example, when the players goalkeeper catches it, falls
Oh,
to
I
the
see.
ground, lies down on it, they all look around and go, "Yeah, Pickford,
Yeah,
yeah," and then they wait there, they wait there, they wait there, they wait there. Then they get up and then they bounce it a few times, or they spin it out and throw it on the ball, get ready to kick it up. As soon as that goalkeeper has got it in his hands, start clock,
yeah. Even if
done.
you make it like a 10-second rule because they
Yeah,
got 6
I
second
think
rule.
10 seconds
It's
is
fine.
absolutely fine. 10 seconds. Because I
Same
guarantee
for
you,
same for
people will
fucking
move.
throw-ins as well.
Huh?
Same for throw-ins as well.
Yeah,
If
no,
your
again.
team's not moving enough to get the ball in the box or get the ball on the pitch, then there should be a punishment for that. It's not you get 20 seconds, 30 seconds to throw the fucking ball in.
Exactly. And I don't see how that's not been done yet. I really don't. And in that way,
I think purely from
that,
a football reason as well, in terms of making it the most attractive, exciting, having the ball in play more makes sense.
but they can't but
I
there
don't know how
can't
they've done
be
it.
any arguments about it, is what I'm saying. If you
No.
say it's 10 seconds, it's not a question of, oh, the referee thinks this, or the referee doesn't even have to pay fucking attention. He can set up a clock, he can still speak to someone, keep an eye on a clock. You
Mm.
you know when the ball's not, and if you know when the ball, they've got the referees playing the defense line. They can see the bloody ball as well. So there's always going to be someone watching it. And at the end of the day, like, I don't know, you can even do a siren every time it fucking, or like a beep every time it hits the zero, just a little boop. And if it's not been done, it's not been done. Simple.
Yeah.
Like, you get, like I said, with the NBA, you get a shot stop clock, don't you? Where you got 20,
Oh,
is it
fuck, yeah.
25 seconds?
24, I think.
24, 25? Yeah, to
No,
to
24,
make a
man.
shot. So
Yeah, you've got 8, I think, to get it over half court. Or is it
something
not
like
half
that. Yeah.
court?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, they managed to do it, so I don't see why, they can't do it. But I do agree. It's those pesky little rules where, but I also think the game's got softer. The game's got softer, so therefore more yellows introduced, and also it's much more about, and I'm not saying that this is wrong, player protection, player welfare. Now, I'm all for that in terms of you don't want people to get horrific injuries and things like that, but some of the stuff nowadays is just ridiculous, where, I mean, you saw it with Fernandez and Yates. Enzo puts his hands up like this to sort of signal like he feels like he's being fouled, turns around, doesn't swing, just turns, catches Yates's face with his arm, and he's gone down like a sack of shit.
Mm.
Playing as free kick, because it's, oh well, his hands touch my face, his arms touch my face. You're not allowed to do that. That's a free kick. It's a yellow card. It's like, oh, so
And he got away with doing a similar
he
thing to
gets away with
Everton.
so much.
It's nuts.
He gets away with so much. But overall, just to summarize the performance, I personally thought it could have been and it should have been better. Don't get me wrong, I know Forest is a tough game. It was always going to be a tough game, but I was a little bit disappointed with certain aspects and the fact that we could have gone up a gear and we could have moved a bit better and created more opportunities with movement, is what I'll say.
Yeah, look, I think Forest were very had a very good defensive structure, made it very difficult for us. And anytime we had even the smallest bit of space, they were very quick to get in. Aina a couple of times came out of absolutely nowhere and blocked shots or got a foot to it for sort of Cole Palmer's shot that almost went over the line. And I think it was difficult. I think the movement, you're right, could be better. And I think part of that is understanding realistically what the wingers' options are. I think too often players want to hang around the penalty spot, and the ball's not going to be able to be put there. He's going to have to beat his man and whip one across the box, and you've kind of got to gamble and get in the 6-yard box and hope that you can sort of get a body part on it to knock it in.
No, I agree with that comment, but I think it's not just that. I think it's also realizing the situation that's in front of you. You know, if you can see your winger and 3 or 4 of the defensive team in front of you, then you know you're in a bad position. Is what I would say. Like you're just standing there. That's a poor position. You're not offering anything to him. And to be fair, I thought some of the midfield were a bit slow to help out Madueke today and help out the wingers. You know, they were, Gusto actually was doing quite well to get further up. But I'd say Cole Palmer and I say Enzo on the other side, they weren't as quick as they normally are to get into positions just outside the box to help out. But yeah, I just think we need to be a bit sharper and just make a run. I don't like to see someone standing at the back post or back post-ish with four or 5 defensive players in front of them, and they're just standing there because I'm like that. You're not going to get anything from there. You know you're not. It's ridiculous. The chances are so small, especially when you're also standing next to somebody. Come on, that's the bit where. That's the bit I find disappointing. It's like just make a run in the middle, and yes, we need more support from midfield.
I think it's making the run at the right time when you can actually get the ball. I think that's what we're bad at. I think we make runs at times where you're not going to get the ball, and then kind of like whinge, complain that you didn't get the ball, and don't actually make a run into an area where you can get the ball at the right time.
You're not always supposed to get the ball if you make a run. This is what I'm saying. Like you're sometimes making a run for somebody else to get the ball or to draw somebody or to make space. It's not you're always going to get the ball. And this is that selfishness across the team where I think needs to be struck out, where it doesn't matter who scores as long as we score and we win. I don't care if we are crap up front, but we're so good, or not. Nah, this is obviously not the case. But we were so good at set pieces that you kind of went, do you know what? We've got a big set piece here. The centre backs are going to cause a problem, and one of them's going to get a goal. But I don't give a shit. I don't care if we have a striker that doesn't score all the time, and actually we end up getting a centre back that scores more from set pieces than he does in open play. I really couldn't give a shit because it's about the team scoring, not the individual. Like, oh well, I'm a striker. I should be getting the goals, or I should always. No, you shouldn't. It's feed each other, play, make options. I just feel like sometimes we're not doing that enough, and therefore that's where you're kind of going. Are we really a top 4 contention? We're definitely not a title-winning team, but are we even top 4? Because from what I saw against Forest, I don't mind drawing. But again, if we're not offering ourselves and we're being lazy in the final third, then we might not get top 4, and that's the problem. If we're moving and creating things and it doesn't pay off, fair enough. But if you're constantly trying to get into gear 3 and we're not getting out of gear 3, then we're not going to get top 4. Not when teams are defending like that Forest can, and they did very, very well. So that's my point from it more than anything else. Not taking anything away against Forest. They did very well, but I think we could have done more. And if we'd done more, you don't know what else could have happened, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, on that one, thank you all for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification button. And thank you all for watching. We have a week off now because it's international break. And we'll see you afterwards.